Gentlemen, let me be honest with you. The day can hide a lot. You keep busy, you move, you talk, you distract yourself. But when night falls, when the house is quiet and the world slows, you can no longer outrun the truth. Energy drains faster, sleep becomes broken, and erections that once came with ease now arrive soft, unreliable, or not at all. For many men over 60, the nights feel heavier than the days. That's when age shows its teeth. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott. For more than 30 years, I've listened to men tell me in low voices that evenings had become the hardest part of life. Not because of loneliness, but because of what their own bodies whispered back to them: weakness, fatigue, uncertainty. One patient in his late 60s told me, "Doctor, nights steal years from me." And I understood, because in those hours there's nowhere to hide. But let me tell you this clearly: decline is not destiny. What you're feeling is not the end of youth, it is the body sending signals that something vital is missing. And the answer isn't another prescription bottle. It's not a quick fix or a false promise. The truth lies in something far simpler: one humble vegetable taken at the right time with the power to restore blood flow, calm the nervous system, and bring back deep, healing sleep. The tragedy is most men overlook it. They spend money on pills that disappoint, while the real solution sits quietly in the produce aisle, waiting to be noticed. Tonight, I'll show you how this vegetable works, how to use it correctly, and how quickly you can expect results. But first, I must warn you, most men make three common mistakes that erase its power completely. Once you know them, you'll never look at your evenings the same way again. And before we dive in, I want you to do something simple but powerful. Tap that like button, not for me, but for yourself, because every like tells the algorithm that men's health after 60 matters. And if what I'm saying already speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. I read them all, and your response shapes what comes next. Now let's begin with the first truth every man after 60 must face: why nights so often feel heavier, slower, and lonelier than the day. Gentlemen, have you ever noticed how the weight of age seems to settle most heavily after the sun goes down? During the day you might manage, you move around, you keep busy, you feel steady enough. But when evening arrives, the mask slips. Energy drains faster, muscles grow heavy, the mind grows restless, and intimacy, what once was instinct, now feels uncertain. I've heard this story again and again in my clinic. Men who tell me, "Doctor, the mornings are fine. The afternoons are bearable, but the nights, that's when I feel old." One man, 68 years old, described it this way: "It's like the day keeps me distracted, but the night exposes me. That's when I notice everything I've lost." His words capture what so many men over 60 feel but rarely admit. The reasons aren't just in your head, they are biological. Testosterone, the hormone that fuels energy, erections, and confidence, naturally dips at night. And after 60, those dips are sharper, deeper, and longer. Circulation slows as blood vessels lose elasticity. Oxygen delivery to muscles becomes less efficient. That's why your legs feel heavy, your chest feels tired, and your erections don't hold the firmness they once had. Nights amplify the decline. It's like running your body on a weaker current, as if the power lines can't carry enough charge anymore. But it isn't only biology. There's also the emotional layer. Nights are quiet. With no distractions, the small struggles stand out: the tossing and turning in bed, the softening erections, the shallow sleep. And these aren't just inconveniences. They touch something deeper. They shake confidence. They whisper doubts about masculinity, about intimacy, about life itself. I remember a patient in his early 70s who sat across from me, his voice low, almost ashamed. "Doctor," he said, "the nights remind me I'm fading." But I looked him in the eye and told him what I will tell you now: those signals are not proof you're broken. They are warnings, messages, your body's way of saying something vital is missing. And here's the good news: what's missing isn't complicated. It's not out of reach. In fact, the solution has been sitting quietly on your dinner table all along. A humble, earthy vegetable most men dismiss as ordinary holds the power to restore blood flow, calm the nervous system, and ease you into the kind of deep sleep your body craves. It's time to uncover what that missing piece really is. The night vegetable for potency. Gentlemen, let me share with you what I've seen over and over again. A man walks into my clinic frustrated, worn down, and carrying the same story I've heard 1,000 times. He's tried the pills. He's swallowed the supplements. He's even filled prescriptions he never wanted anyone else to know about. And yet night after night, the struggles remain: soft erections, restless sleep, and a body that feels heavier than it should. And what struck me every time was this: the answer was not missing. It was sitting in plain sight right on their dinner table, ignored. That answer is beetroot. Most people look at beets and see a garnish, a side dish, maybe something you slice into a salad. But inside this humble, earthy root is one of the most powerful compounds your aging body still knows how to use: nitrates. Once inside you, nitrates convert into nitric oxide, the very molecule that relaxes blood vessels, restores circulation, and brings oxygen where your body needs it most. And when blood flow improves, everything changes. Erections become firmer and more dependable. Muscles carry less heaviness. Even the brain calms because nitric oxide and magnesium in beets soothe the nervous system and set the stage for deep, restorative sleep. I'll never forget a patient in his early 70s, a retired mechanic. He looked at me across the desk and said, "Doctor, I've run out of options. I'm tired of disappointment." I told him, "You don't need another pill. You need to give your body the fuel it's asking for." I asked him to add one small change: roasted beetroot with dinner or a small glass of fresh beet juice in the evening. 3 weeks later, he came back with tears in his eyes. "Doctor, I feel alive again. The nights don't drain me anymore. They give me back strength." His wife, sitting beside him, nodded with a smile I'll never forget. That's the paradox. Beetroot isn't flashy. It isn't expensive. It doesn't come in a shiny bottle. But it works with your body's rhythm in a way most men have never discovered. And yet, here's the warning: even those who eat beets often don't feel the benefits because they use it the wrong way. Overcooking, poor timing, wrong portions — these mistakes can cancel out everything. So the next question becomes critical. Why is it that after 60, nutrients, even from powerful foods like beetroot, seem to slip through your fingers faster than ever before? And why does that matter so much for your strength, your potency, and your sleep? Gentlemen, the most dangerous threats to a man's vitality after 60 are not the loud ones. They're the whispers, the quiet signals you brush off as just getting older. I can't tell you how many men have sat across from me, shoulders slumped, saying, "Doctor, I guess this is just what it feels like to age." But as they spoke, I recognized something different: subtle warnings of a body running on empty. It often starts in the bedroom. Erections that were once firm become unreliable, softer, and harder to maintain. Some men stop initiating intimacy, not because the desire is gone, but because the fear of disappointment is stronger. Then comes the restless sleep. Nights filled with tossing, turning, waking 2 or 3 times, never reaching that deep, healing rest. And so the mornings arrive heavy, with fatigue that clings no matter how much coffee you drink. I remember one patient in his late 60s, a retired school principal. He told me he no longer looked forward to nights. "Doctor," he said, "the evenings remind me of everything I've lost: my strength, my confidence, my closeness with my wife." He believed it was permanent, carved in stone, but it wasn't. What he didn't know was that his body was starving for nutrients it once had in abundance, but now could no longer hold onto so easily. Deficiency doesn't always shout, it whispers. It shows up in softer erections, slower recovery after exercise, irritability, even that creeping sense of gloom that makes you feel less like yourself. These are not signs of weakness. They are signals, messages from your body saying, "I need fuel, I need support, I need restoration." The tragedy is that most men ignore these signals until they snowball into something larger: chronic fatigue, cardiovascular trouble, or a total withdrawal from intimacy. But here's the hopeful truth. Once you recognize these whispers for what they are, you can act. You can replenish what's missing. And the sooner you do, the faster the tide begins to turn. Which brings us to the next question. Why do these vital nutrients vanish so quickly after 60? Even when you eat the right foods, why does your body fail to absorb and use them the way it once did? The answer lies in the machinery of aging, and once you understand it, the solution becomes crystal clear. Gentlemen, here's the part no one warns you about. You can eat all the right foods, take your vitamins faithfully, even watch your diet like a hawk, and yet after 60, the body still feels tired, weak, and drained at night. Why? Because the machinery has changed. Think of your digestive system as an engine. In your 30s and 40s, it runs hot and efficient. The spark is strong, the fuel burns clean, and every bite of food is converted into raw energy and nutrients your body can use. But as the years pass, that engine begins to lose compression. Stomach acid levels decline, digestive enzymes grow weaker. The gut lining itself becomes less efficient at pulling nutrients across into the bloodstream. The fuel is there, you're putting it in, but the engine can't extract the power like it once did. I've had men look me in the eye and say, "Doctor, I eat healthy. I take care of myself. Why do I still feel half as strong?" And the answer is simple, because their body isn't absorbing what they are giving it. Magnesium, the mineral that calms nerves and relaxes muscles, slips through barely absorbed. Nitrates from vegetables, meant to turn into nitric oxide and restore blood flow, convert more slowly and less efficiently. Antioxidants, once abundant defenders against inflammation, become scarcer, leaving blood vessels stiff and tired. I remember a man 65 years old, a former long-distance runner. He said, "I still eat the same way I did at 40, but now it feels like it barely matters." He wasn't exaggerating. His body simply wasn't drawing the same value from food anymore. The rules had changed and no one told him. And this is where so many men feel betrayed. They believe they are doing everything right, but the results keep slipping away. They start thinking decline is inevitable. But the truth is, the body after 60 doesn't need more food. It needs smarter food. Foods that deliver nutrients in forms your aging system can still absorb, still use, still convert into strength. This is why beetroot stands out. Its nitrates bypass some of the digestive slowdown, turning directly into nitric oxide the body can use right away. Its magnesium and betaine are packaged in a form that helps calm the nervous system and restore sleep. It's a vegetable uniquely suited to an older man's physiology, if used correctly. But here's the danger. If you ignore these disappearing nutrients, the body will whisper louder and louder until it finally shouts. Through fatigue, through poor circulation, through intimacy that feels more like struggle than joy. And you don't want to wait for the shout. You want to act while the signals are still whispers. Which brings us to the next step. How exactly does the body signal that nutrients are running out? What are the subtle warnings you should never ignore? Well, that's where we go next. Gentlemen, by now you know the secret is beetroot. But here's the truth most men miss. It's not just what you eat, it's how and when you eat it that determines whether it works or whether it slips right through your fingers. I've seen men snack on pickled beets straight from a jar and wonder why nothing changed. I've seen others boil them until they're mush, stripping away the very nutrients their bodies needed most. Some even eat them raw, thinking more natural must be better, only to end up with stomach discomfort that makes the habit impossible to keep. Beetroot is powerful, but it's delicate. Its nitrates, the compounds that become nitric oxide and open your blood vessels, are destroyed by overcooking. Its calming minerals can be wasted if paired with the wrong foods or taken at the wrong time. And here's the paradox. The same vegetable that can restore your nights can also fail you if you don't treat it with respect. So what's the right way? It's simpler than you think. Light roasting or steaming beets preserves the nitrates while making them easier to digest. A small glass, About 4 to 6 ounces of fresh beet juice made from the root itself, not bottled and sitting on a shelf, delivers those compounds quickly and efficiently. And timing matters. The evening, ideally alongside your dinner, is when the body responds best. That's when circulation slows and the nervous system begins to settle. Give your body what it needs at that moment, and it will reward you with stronger blood flow, calmer nerves, and deeper sleep. I remember a man in his early 70s, a retired firefighter. He told me, "Doctor, I've eaten beets all my life. Why now?" The answer was simple. For decades, he ate them boiled, drained of power, and usually at lunch. Once we shifted his routine, lightly roasted beets at dinner, everything changed. Within weeks, his nights were calmer, his erections stronger, and his mornings brighter. He laughed and said, "Doctor, the same food, but it feels like a different life." That's the power of doing it the right way, not complicated, not expensive, but intentional. Because your body after 60 no longer rewards guesswork, it demands precision. And once you know the right way, the next step is to protect that habit from the simple mistakes that can undo it all. So let's talk about those mistakes. Because avoiding them could mean the difference between disappointment and transformation. Gentlemen, beetroot can transform your nights, but only if you respect the rules. I've seen far too many men lose the benefits, not because the vegetable doesn't work, but because of small, critical mistakes that cancel out everything. The first mistake, overcooking. When you boil beets until they are soft and lifeless, the very nitrates that become nitric oxide are destroyed. What's left is color without power, something that fills your plate but does little for your blood flow. The fix is simple: lightly roast or steam enough to soften, not enough to strip away what your body needs most. The second mistake, pairing it with alcohol. I know the habit. Many men enjoy a glass of wine or whiskey at night, but alcohol interferes with nitric oxide production. You're taking one step forward with beets and two steps back with the drink. I remember a patient, 69 years old, who said, "Doctor, I've been eating beets every evening, but I don't feel different." When I asked about his routine, he admitted he always had them with 2 glasses of red wine. Once he cut back, the results arrived in weeks. The third mistake, too much too soon. Many men think if a little works, a lot must be better. But overloading your stomach with beet juice or large servings of roasted beets can cause bloating, discomfort, and discourage consistency. The truth is, your body only needs a modest amount, half a cup of roasted beets or a small glass of juice, to feel the difference. Consistency, not excess, is what unlocks the results. I recall another patient in his early 70s. He was frustrated at first, convinced nothing was working. But when we reviewed his habits, we found he was boiling his beets, drowning them in oil, and washing them down with beer. Once we adjusted, lightly steamed, small serving, no alcohol, the transformation was clear. Within weeks, his erections grew firmer, his sleep steadier, and his mornings lighter. That's why I tell my patients, it's not just what you add to your life, but what you avoid. Success lies in precision. When you sidestep these mistakes, you open the door to results that build night after night. And once you've learned to avoid these pitfalls, you're ready for something more, because beetroot doesn't have to work alone. When paired with the right nutrients, its power multiplies. And that's where the real breakthrough begins. Gentlemen, beetroot alone is powerful, but when combined with the right allies, its effect multiplies. Think of it this way: beetroot is the spark, the match that lights the fire. But a spark alone fades unless it has wood and kindling to burn. That wood comes from other nutrients that protect, extend, and amplify what beetroot begins inside your body. One of the strongest partners is vitamin C. Fresh citrus, an orange after dinner, or a few slices of grapefruit helps protect nitric oxide from breaking down too quickly. That means the blood flow improvements from beetroot last longer, giving you not just a momentary lift, but hours of sustained circulation. Then there are leafy greens like spinach or arugula. They carry their own nitrates, and when stacked with beetroot, it's like layering logs on a fire. The circulation effect is stronger, more dependable, and more noticeable. And don't forget magnesium-rich foods, pumpkin seeds, almonds, even a small square of dark chocolate. They calm the nervous system, relax muscles, and make it easier to slip into deep, unbroken sleep. When combined with beetroot's nitrates, the effect is a body both energized and soothed, exactly what men over 60 need. I think of a patient in his early 70s who came to me saying, "Doctor, I feel better with the beets, but can I go further?" Together, we made a simple plan: roasted beetroot with dinner, a handful of spinach alongside, and an orange for dessert. Within weeks, he told me, "It feels like my whole system opened up. My energy during the day is lighter, my erections are firmer, and I sleep like I haven't in decades." His wife laughed and said, "Doctor, I got my husband back." That's the beauty of working with nature. Beetroot is the foundation, but it doesn't have to work alone. When you give your body this combination, circulation from the beets, protection from vitamin C, support from greens, and calm from magnesium, you create not just results, but momentum. Results that build night after night until they feel less like a change and more like your new normal. But let me be clear, this journey is not just about nutrients, blood flow, or even sleep. It's about something deeper, the dignity, confidence, and presence that so many men feel slipping away with age. And that brings us to the real heart of this story. Gentlemen, let's pause here, because this journey isn't really about a vegetable or even about blood flow and sleep. Those are the mechanics, the levers and gears, but what lies beneath, that's what matters most. Over the decades, I've learned that what troubles men after 60 isn't just softer erections or nights of tossing and turning. It's what those struggles mean. It's the slow erosion of identity. The quiet doubt that whispers, "Maybe my best years are behind me." Or the sense that the fire that once made you a man, alive, confident, present, has dimmed and there's nothing you can do to reignite it. I'll never forget a retired teacher, 67 years old, who sat across from me with tears in his eyes. He said, "Doctor, I love my family, I still have my routines, but I don't feel like myself anymore. It's like the man I used to be is gone." He wasn't talking about his body alone. He was talking about dignity, about the confidence that shapes how a man walks, speaks, loves. And here's the truth. When sleep deepens, when energy steadies, when intimacy becomes reliable again, it's not just the body that heals, it's the spirit. You see yourself differently. You look in the mirror and recognize the man staring back. And your partner notices too, the light in your eyes, the willingness to connect, the presence you bring into the room. That's why this matters, because at its core, this is about reclaiming control, not surrendering to a prescription bottle, not resigning yourself to decline, but proving to yourself that you still carry strength, passion, and vitality no matter what the calendar says. I tell my patients, age cannot take away your manhood unless you hand it over. And every time you choose to support your body with the right foods, the right routines, the right care, you're declaring, "I am still here, I am still alive. I am still a man who matters." And when that truth takes hold, something changes. Confidence returns, hope rises. Intimacy no longer feels like a battle, but like a gift. That's the real reward, not just erections, not just sleep, but the restoration of dignity and joy. So as we move to the final step of this journey, I want to show you how all of this comes together, how one small change each night can be the beginning of renewal, and why tonight could be the first page of a different story for you. Gentlemen, we've walked through a journey together tonight. We began in the quiet of the evening, the hour when age seems to press hardest, when energy fades, sleep breaks, and intimacy slips away. We name the truth most men whisper only to themselves. Nights can feel heavier than days after 60. But we also uncovered something greater, that these struggles are not destiny. They are signals, warnings, the body's way of saying, "I need support, I need restoration." We found that support in the most unlikely place. A humble root, beetroot, not a pill, not a gimmick, but nature's own ally, rich with nitrates and minerals that open blood vessels, calm the nervous system, and restore sleep. We learned how age changes absorption, why nutrients vanish faster after 60, and why ordinary eating is no longer enough. We saw that the right preparation, the right timing, and the right partnerships, vitamin C, leafy greens, magnesium can amplify beetroot's power until it transforms not just nights but entire days. But most of all, we went deeper. We spoke about what this is really about, not vegetables, not even erections or sleep, but dignity, identity, confidence. The quiet truth that a man is never finished, never broken, unless he chooses to surrender. And I have seen too many men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s reignite the spark to ever believe decline is inevitable. So here's what I leave you with. Tonight, you can begin your own renewal. One small step. A half cup of roasted beets with dinner. A small glass of fresh juice in the evening. Simple, modest, but powerful. Because the body listens when you give it what it needs. Night after night, the change builds until mornings feel brighter, energy steadier, and intimacy easier. And now I want to ask you for something small, but important. If this message spoke to you, tap that like button. Not for me, but for the thousands of men who will find this video because you told the algorithm men's health after 60 matters. Share this with a friend, a brother, a neighbor, someone who might be struggling in silence tonight, and tell me your thoughts in the comments. Type 1 if this gave you hope. Type 0 if you want me to go deeper next time. I read them all and I respond. Because this is not just a lecture, it's a conversation. Gentlemen, aging is not the end of vitality. It's an invitation to live smarter, sharper, stronger. You are not broken. You are not finished. Tonight can be the first page of your comeback story. And I, Dr. Jonathan Prescott, will be right here to guide you. So until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful, and never forget, 60 is not the end. It's the beginning of the man you were always meant to be.